This will change the way you see budget track saws forever. You got to check this out and see what it can do, what it can't do, and is it the right saw for you compared to the competition. Let's unbox it, put it through the paces. All right, out of the box, you get the Tracksaw and a dust port adapter. That's all you need, that's all that's in the box. And then there's, of course, the manual and a couple of extra brushes. This is a brushed motor. This is also a 12 amp motor, which should give us plenty of power to power through thicker cuts, etc. Where the Grizzly Tracksaw, if you watch that review, it was underpowered at only a 9 amp motor. So I think this will be better. First thing I noticed out of the box was it is strikingly good looking. The orange on that bright silver, it looks good, and it's built well. This is all metal of some type, probably aluminum. But I did notice some similarities out of the box. I thought, man, this looks like something I just reviewed not too long ago. And so I went back and grabbed the Win cordless track saw. They look identical. I think, other than the handle design. Now, if you look at the handle design, one is higher up than the other, but the Win is cordless. This has a corded, so the motor design is different, but the actual structure looks very, very similar, especially the base plate and the way that the plunge stop mechanism works on both is very, very, very similar. What's great about this design, it's a universal base plate, or as universal as you can get in track saws. It will work on Milwaukee tracks, Win tracks, Festool tracks, Makita tracks, and PowerTech tracks. So a lot of those will interchange if you have those. There's two things great about this thing working on multiple tracks. Number one is the price of the tracks. So instead of paying Festool prices for their tracks, you can get the exact same or very similar tracks in, say, PowerTech or even the Win tracks. And your accessories will work. So if you have something like the guide square from TSO, this thing's phenomenal. I'll link to it in the description. This helps you basically make square cuts over and over and over. It will work on a multitude of tracks as well. So that's a good thing if you're looking into getting a track saw. Now, before we start cutting, which we are going to put this through the test, we're going to find out what I like, what I don't like, and what could be better. This thing is, again, well made. I like this housing. It feels really nice. It's as well built as most any saw I've found, and it's not overly heavy, it's not bulky, etc. It has a nice feel to it as far as the plunging. The first thing I noticed out of the pack, I didn't realize this when I bought it, but it doesn't have a riving knife. And this is kind of odd that a modern track saw doesn't have riving knives. The Kreg does, the Grizzly does, so multiples of them have it, but this does have anti-kickback, and that's a positive in the replacement of the riving knife. But it's this little knob right here. It's a spring-loaded knob, so as soon as you set it on the track, you'll have to twist this knob to get it to seat properly, but it locks it in so that it has a very hard time being pushed backwards. You can push it forward because of the way that cam works, but as soon as pressure starts going backwards, it basically kind of locks it into the track to prevent that kickback. That's a good feature. It also has tensioning knobs, which are cams as well, to help trying to get the tension or the slack out of the saw on the track so you can get a nice accurate cut. This saw will bevel from 0 to 48 degrees. So if you do need a little extra bevel, you got that. The bevel action, the slide isn't the smoothest I've ever felt. It does kind of stick here and there, but you should be able to line it up to whatever degree you want and lock that in place with the tension knobs. The saw does also have an indicator here on the shoe of the saw that's 0 and 45, and that is so you can use it off track. You know, just like a regular circular saw. I like seeing that because not all saws have that. Festool. This does have a switch right on top, which is a 3-position switch. One of them is for blade changes. So if you go to the first position, so that will stop it right where the arbor is inside that window, and then you press down on this top switch to lock that arbor so you can change the blades. The next position is basically the plunge. You can plunge it all the way to full depth. And then the final position right here, which is indicated with a little tiny line at the top of the circle, that's for scribe cutting. So if you're cutting plywood, sheet goods, things like that have that thin veneer on it, that will basically stop it just below the track depth. And that's going to allow you to get that nice clean cut on sheet goods where the veneers will tear on you. The Win had that feature. It's a nice feature to have. This does have a standard size dust port, so you can connect your dust extractor to it. The Festool hose fits perfect, and it has this little adapter that goes right there to basically so you can swivel that. I didn't say pivot. Also, this front knob right here is an anti-tip knob. When you turn it, you will see a little piece stick out. And so if it has a compatible track like this Win, it will lock into that track. So when you tilt it over, even at 48 degrees, the saw will not flip off the track. That's a nice feature because not all saws have that. One thing I have noticed on all of the saws that are like under $600–700, so the budget saws like the Grizzly, the Win, Kreg, etc., is holding firm pressure on the base of it. If you move or put any lateral pressure on there, you do get flexion in the saw, and that almost always comes from these plastic parts that they use to connect them. It just doesn't tighten down, and almost always the back of the saw is where you get the most flexion. There's not enough meat back there to hold everything nice and stable. That's just one of those trade-offs you give up whenever you go for the budget level saws. The only way to get rid of that, honestly, is to go up to a higher end saw like the Milwaukee, Makita, Festool, etc. And even those saws, if you put enough pressure on there, will flex a little bit as well, but not as bad. But don't let that deter you from the saw, because we haven't tested it yet, but I think you'll see, based on my experience, it doesn't really matter if you're just using this for plywood, sheet goods, etc., and the occasional thicker wood cuts. I don't know that you'll see much difference, but we'll have to test it to see exactly how bad or good it is. All right, first, power up. I always like to do this before we start cutting, just to kind of get the sound of the motor and see how loud it is, see if you can tell how powerful it is, if it has a soft start, etc. It is a very soft start. I don't know that I've ever seen one start that slow and get spun up to speed, but the drawback is, did you see how long it took to power down? After I let go of it, we're talking like a bandsaw. Like when you turn the bandsaw off, it just rolls and rolls and rolls for like a minute. That's what that felt like. To show you how this cam works, it really snugs it up on the track. I've taken off this knob, and you can see that this isn't perfectly round. That way it will literally push on this guide rail, the outer section of that, and snug it to the track. Because if you don't, you'll notice that it will have a little play in there, but when you snug that up, it really takes that play away. That way you don't have any inaccuracies in your cut. The first cut is on a piece of 3/4 inch sanded birch. It's not Baltic birch, this is sanded plywood like you could buy at your regular home store. Just a standard 3/4 inch piece of plywood. It cut smooth as butter. I didn't notice any power issues. I did notice it does lack good dust collection a little bit. Not the worst I've seen, but also not the best I've seen. Not bad at this price point, honestly. But as far as the cut goes, with the supplied blade, smooth as butter. There is literally no tear out on either side, which is what you want on a track saw. So it did good. I do wish the dust collection was slightly better, but I'm not mad at how it performed on this piece of plywood. Now this is an almost 2-inch thick piece of walnut, and this is typically where the true test lies on a track saw like this, whether it's gonna have enough power, and more importantly, is it able to cut square? A lot of track saws that are under $500 have an issue there. I'm gonna see if this one does. But before we do that, I'd like to tell you about our brand new tool company that my wife and I started. It's called Faith Valley Tools. Check us out at faithvalleytools.com. One of our first products is the Woodworker's Chronicle to help you keep track of customer quotes, customer orders, keep track of projects with cut lists, a whole lot more. Check it out, faithvalleytools.com. Just a reminder, there's a link in the description to this saw as well as in the pinned comment so you can find it easier to check it out for yourself. Cutting through this nearly 2-inch thick, it's actually 1 7/8 inches, so right at 2 inches thick. It cut through no problem at all. It powered through there. Of course, this doesn't have the same power as say the Milwaukee or the Festool, but I didn't notice that it had any trouble getting through there. You just have to take it a little slower. And this is a finer tooth blade meant for plywood. So the fact that I could cut through that without much trouble at all, I like it a lot. Now let's see how square it is, because I don't know, I have a suspicion. Using my handy dandy woodpecker square, I trust that square. Whoa-wee, that is, I think, all the way down. What we got? Perfectly square. That's impressive. That is very impressive. The wind couldn't do that. The Grizzly was really close, but still showed some light there, was out of square slightly. I don't know that I can't remember a saw at this price point that cut that square. That's good. That's a very, very good sign. It does suffer a little bit from dust collection woes, not the greatest, but square cut, you can't ask for nothing better there. You're not getting any deflection there. I like it, I like it.
I like it a lot.
So what I like about this saw, before we compare it to two of the other ones, they're kind of, I think you should consider depending on your budget level. Now, What I love the fact that this is a square cutting saw. I have not seen one in this price range cut perfectly square like that. It was surprising. I thought we would see similar to the Grizzly where we had a little bit of, just a tiny bit of deflection in that blade or in the base while you were cutting. This was dead on. I was shocked. For this price, for this track saw, if you need a good budget-friendly track saw, you can literally just check the link in the description now or the pinned comment and go get it. You don't have to watch the rest of it. There are some flaws, but this is a good saw for that purpose. What else do I like? Well, I do like the fact that this is a 12 amp saw. It has plenty of power to power through some of that thicker hardwood like that. And I love the fact that it has anti-kickback. This works well. It's a well-made saw. In my opinion, I think it's nice. It's nice. I also like that my dust hose connects directly to this without any issues. Another thing I like is it has anti-tip. So if I was doing bevel cuts, I could tip this over to the edge and no problem. It's not gonna fall off the track. Some track saws don't have that. I like the fact that it's variable speed. I've never used variable speed. I just go fast and don't worry about it. But if you're cutting certain materials, you do need to dial that back. So it's good if you're cutting laminates and things. But other than that, if you're just cutting plywood and things, I set it on the high and go. I've never had any problem with that. It comes with a nice blade as far as cutting plywood and things. Overall, I like this saw for those purposes. Now what I don't like that the dust collection suffers a little bit. I think it could be improved somehow. This is not the best dust collection I've seen, but it's not the worst either. So it's kind of in that, well, I could probably live with that. Just get you a good quality dust mask. I like the RZ mask. You do you, but I'll link to that one as well. That's a really good mask, but I don't like that dust collection's there. I do not like that this does not have a riving knife. I do wish it had that. Similar to the Grizzly, I like that the Grizzly has a riving knife. The RIDGID has a riving knife. The Milwaukee has a riving knife. It just keeps that wood from pinching up. Even Kreg has a riving knife. I do wish this had that. But because it has the anti-kickback on there, we'll give it a pass. Kinda. Now if I just got down and dirty and ruthless with it, I think that what I really don't like is this, the way the depth stop works. It's very similar to that Wind. I had the same complaints with the Wind. It's just clunky. It doesn't work well. It sticks when you're trying to move it. It's just weird. They could improve that massively. I also think that the tightening or tensioning part of this saw could use a little tweaking. I did have to, especially this front one here, I did have to mess with it a little bit to get it kind of snug on the track to keep that slop out. But once I got it set, it was fine. I just wish it was a little better. Another thing I really don't like is how this attaches to the base. I think that could be beefed up and improved. I don't know how much that would change the cost of the saw. Is it worth that trade-off if the price is gonna go up significantly? I don't think so. You could tighten these down. I've got these pretty snug on here on the bevel. Once you do that, like you've seen, I didn't have any trouble with the accuracy of the cut, so I don't know that that's a big issue. I just would like to see it better. Now let's compare the Triton to some of the ones you may be considering as well. Maybe the Wind cordless, maybe the RIDGID cordless, or even maybe the Kreg is also a corded saw. I actually think I would go with this Triton over the Kreg personally. I just think it does really well. But it's been a couple of years since I used the Kreg, so I'm kind of going based off memory there. I just think it's a really well-made saw and it's cutting very accurate. Now if I'm picking between these three, I'll probably lean toward the RIDGID. I do like it a lot. It feels a little bit more robust and better made, but you also have to use their proprietary tracks. So you don't get those common tracks with accessories, etc., that you can add to it. So you do have a massive trade-off, and then you also have to get into a different battery platform with RIDGID if you're not already in there. So if you're in that camp, I really think you should probably just go ahead and grab this Triton. Although you can check out the review on this RIDGID, it is a fantastic saw. Now the Triton and this Wind are so similar in features that it's kind of hard to choose there. I think if you're choosing, then you have to think, well, this is a cordless saw. The battery life wasn't that great, and the accuracy wasn't there either. This Triton's a corded saw. The power's there, so no battery life issues, and the accuracy's there. So if you're choosing between these two, I would strongly suggest looking at this Triton. Where I think this, if you're comparing track saws and trying to figure out where this would line up in budget range, I think this is going to compare very similar to the Kreg track saw. This track saw and the Kreg are kind of reversed of each other. So this one is more of a right-hand track saw where the other is a left-hand track saw. If you've ever seen the Kreg, it goes the opposite direction basically on the track versus this one. But I think that's probably going to be one of the major differences, and this one is variable speed, which is a good thing. They're both 12 amp. They both have similar specs as far as what they'll cut through, depth of cut, etc. But I think if you're looking into track saws, those are probably the two you're going to compare, and maybe the Wind. Now, if you don't mind spending a little more money to get a much better saw, I think the Milwaukee's the way to go. I have said this for almost a year and a half to now. a little over a year. This Milwaukee is probably the best bang for the buck track saw that I've used personally, and I've used a bunch of them. I love the way this depth stop works. It works so much better than stuff like this that I'm not playing. It literally just sticks and hangs. This is a much better working saw. The dust collection is better on the Milwaukee, and the fine adjustments, that your tilt adjustment, it just is so smooth where this kind of locks up as you saw before. This is just a much, much better built saw. It also has the riving knife. It has the anti-tip. I just think this is a solid saw if you have the budget, because this is a little less than $800 for the entire kit. You're talking track saw, tracks, batteries, charger, etc. So you're talking over double the price of this Triton, and at this price point, even comparing it to the RIDGID, which I do like too. I like the way it operates as well. Nice depth stop, nice powerful saw. But for the price point, I don't know that you can go wrong. I'll tell you right now, this is my pick for the best budget track saw under $500. I'm blown away by it. I really am. I think this is a fantastic saw at this price point for accuracy, for power, and all around just good features on a track saw. It could be improved a little bit, yeah, but for this price, it's a go-getter. Link in the description, pinned comment as well. Go check it out. If you want to see the RIDGID track saw review, click that box right there. Click in the box to get you the big old virtual fist bump, or my pick for the best track saw bang for the buck, the Milwaukee. Go check out that review.